when I meet with a founder who initially is just trying to sell me a product, that's maybe not really excited about co-creating, that's a red flag to me. I want somebody who's responsive, excited about our mission and vision, excited to co-create together, really interested in my feedback, and really interested in their ideas, because they're doing something for us that I'm obviously not able to do for my organization on my own. So it's really about a strategic partnership, and that relationship is so key.
If education sales has you second guessing yourself, take a breath. This is a trust-first, relationship-driven market, and the old tactics, they don't translate. This show replaces guesswork with clarity and a customer acquisition system that builds a pipeline you can trust. I'm Josh Chernikoff, two-time education founder with 2 exits and a lead gen coach for companies in education. Through my EdSales elevation experience over the last 2 years, I've coached 210 companies to leads on repeat. In 2025 alone, I delivered over 2,600 hours of coaching to education companies. My co-host is John Gamba. He also has a successful exit, and now he's the Director of Innovative Programs and the Entrepreneur in Residence at Penn's Graduate School of Education. This is the only show dedicated to customer acquisition for education companies, so consistent listeners go from stalled deals to clarity, credibility, and a pipeline they can rely on. This is EdSales Edge, where education company founders earn their edge. Welcome to an edition of the EdSales Edge. Most education founders, they chase the big school districts. Been there, done that, and seen it a lot. The founders want the biggest budgets. They want the flashiest logos. But the traction doesn't come from the biggest. It actually comes from the perfect client. And if you're looking for what that looks like in real life, it's Dr. Brooke Olsen-Farrell, who happens to be my guest today. She's a superintendent. She's a national policy leader. She's a resilience expert and the kind of district partner who makes innovation not just possible, but inevitable. So today on the EdSales Edge, we're talking about what makes a perfect client and how every founder in the education space can learn from Brooke's approach, which you're going to love, to co-creation, iteration, and traction. Brooke, welcome into the show.
Thanks. I'm very happy to be here.
Before we get off and running here, if you can give everybody just a minute of your background of how you got to Slate Valley, and then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of this idea of the perfect client. But the floor is yours so people can get to know you real quick.
Okay, sure. So it's my 9th year as superintendent here in Slate Valley. Prior to this, I was an assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction in a neighboring district. And actually, prior to that, I was director of curriculum here in Slate Valley. And prior to that, a longtime high school teacher in actually New York State. So, I've had a long career. It's 27 years in education so far. Doesn't seem like it. But definitely have been committed to Slate Valley for the last 9 years.
Yeah. Slate Valley is a rural, high-needs district in Vermont. And you are different. And you look for solution partners who are willing to listen. And you are the type of client that is willing to collaborate and co-create. Why are you that type of person in Slate Valley?
Well, I think a few things. I think we have a really innovative leadership team, really supportive school board, a staff who has a lot of longevity in the district and are willing to try new things. At the same time, we have an extremely tight budget. We're one of the lowest spending school districts in the state. And we kind of have to earn everything that we get. And so everything is really hard fought. And so we really need to carefully consider the different partnerships and products and solutions that we're bringing into the district. And sometimes that means working with new innovators on the ground floor because, quite frankly, we can, the price point is a little more tenable for our district, and also the willingness of new companies to really work with what our needs are and be flexible and listen to us as we try to find creative solutions to really complex issues that our school district is navigating.
You are a perfect client in my eyes, in the eyes of the 170 other members of our community who have been through the EdSales Elevation experience and counting, because you don't wait for RFPs, you partner early, and then you give founders critical feedback while they're testing impact in your school district. Is it important then for you to find your perfect partner? I mean, not every solution provider's going to want your feedback.
Absolutely. So for me, I look to individuals or companies who are willing to make that personal relationship, get to know me as a leader, get to know my team, get to know my district, really understand what our goals are and our mission is as a district, and be willing to listen and adapt to our needs. And so those are some things that are really critically important to me.
Where does resilience fit into that whole story? Because I can look at it from a few different angles, and I'll say, from the having been run an aftercare company here, you got to have resilience when working with a partner like you. The company will grow, so will you, but you got to have the resilience to say, thank you for the help, thank you for the feedback. Let me see what I can do with that. So where does resilience fit in? Because I know that's in your story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the key cornerstones actually in our district, and how we've been able to progress as a district in the last couple of years, which has been pretty remarkable considering our funding and our resource availability, as well as some outside influences that have created some negative circumstances within the district. But it's about focusing on hope, optimism for a better tomorrow, being great listeners, willing to adapt and change and not be static and insular in our thinking. I always encourage my leaders, my staff, to get out of the district, to talk to other people, to learn new things, to bring new ideas back, and be unafraid to really try some new innovative things out. And so really have given a lot of permission for that creativity within the district.
And you can always encourage your staff to go out and try new things. But as we talked about kind of in our pre-show interview, there's always going to be Mrs. Smith, the veteran teacher who does not like change. So how do you, as a superintendent, work with Mrs. Smith, and how does our audience, of founders and entrepreneurs handle Mrs. Smith?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, you really need to have a leader that's excited about the work and is hopeful and optimistic, because our teachers and our staff really pick up our emotions, right? And so as leaders, so I think if we are optimistic, I think that goes a long way and are excited about a product. The other thing is I would start with staff that are excited, right? Like, so, we're partnering with a new company now, Swift Score, around teacher evaluation. So really talking with teachers who are excited to try out this new technology, this new model, working with principals who are excited to try it, and then slowly grow that to the rest of the staff. You're always going to have the quote unquote Mrs. Smith, but you just don't want an entire faculty of them, right? So you really have to grow the excitement within the organization, but it's really important how you model and show up as a leader in that work.
If something feels fuzzy or momentum has stalled, it happens. I get it. Text me directly, 771-333-4233. I read all of the text messages. Back to the show. What do you look for in a Swift Score or some of the other earlier stage, more eager to co-create founders that you work with? And what's a red flag for you?
So for me, it's when I'm first, my first interaction with the founders, their excitement about the product, their excitement about what we're doing as a district, and their willingness to co-create that you spoke about. And even like, the text follow-ups, like, hey, I've been thinking about your district last night and this problem that you're wrestling with. What if we try this? Those are super impactful. When I meet with a founder who initially is just trying to sell me a product that's maybe not really excited about co-creating, that's a red flag to me. I want somebody who's responsive, excited about our mission and vision, excited to co-create together, really interested in my feedback, and really interested in their ideas, because they're doing something for us that I'm obviously not able to do for my organization on my own. So it's really about a strategic partnership, and that relationship is so key.
It's something we really teach in our community, in our course, is to listen to you and what your needs are, and then say, what if I could tell you I got a solution for that and I can help you with that, as opposed to as a founder and entrepreneur, just giving you the solution and saying, here's how we're going to solve this problem. What if I don't have that problem? Also, what about founders, entrepreneurs who say, Slate Valley, Vermont, why am I going there? It's small. Well, I'll tell you why, and then I want you to follow up, is that you're not just a superintendent. You're on the board of AASA. You lead state initiatives. I met you at IEI. You're heavily involved with other superintendents. So now back me up and give more reasons why the members of our community should look at a Slate Valley and others.
So again, I think it's about relationships and connections. I think there's many of us who lead small rural or even urban districts, small districts that have a lot of networking experience, have a lot of influence on the state and national level, and are able to make connections. Already with some of the companies that we're working with, I've been able to make connections with other superintendents in the state and actually outside of the state who are now partners with some of these companies. And so it's really the way you expand your business is really by developing your reputation and influence in the industry. And I think just because you're a leader of a small district doesn't mean that you don't have influence in the industry.
And in fact, not only do you have influence as a co-creator, you potentially become an evangelist for the person who was willing to listen, for the person who sent the text message, for the person who changed this and that to work for Slate Valley. What about being evangelists for our people who are in our community? How important is it to have an evangelist like you, assuming everything works out?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super critical. I mean, I can tell you when I first started as superintendent 9 years ago, or even when I was in my assistant superintendencies and directors of curriculum, companies, would call. I would ignore those calls. I would ignore the emails, and it just did not really want to interact. And I think now my whole perspective has changed in the last probably 5 years on that. And I've really gotten to know people in, ed tech industry and, solution partners. And I've been able to talk with my colleagues in other districts in and outside of the state and really promote some of these partnerships, either in statewide meetings or in national conferences. And so I think it's super critical that you have somebody that's willing to kind of carry the torch of, what you're doing in your company. And I think that's how you gain more clients and a great reputation in this industry.
If you had to pick one way that our community could get in front of somebody like you, what is that mode? Is it email? Is it a conference? Is it a podcast? Is it LinkedIn? What's best for you?
I mean, so personally for me, it's been those connections that I've been able to make at the IEIs of the world, the ERDIs, just the face-to-face piece. Emails really haven't done it for me, to be perfectly honest. Or I might have another superintendent that reaches out and says, hey, I really want to introduce you to so-and-so. Do you have a few minutes? Those are the types of connections that I respond to. And I think that's true of a lot of my colleagues in the industry. Emails, cold calls, they don't work particularly well.
Okay. I'm going to push back on that eventually. The Perfect Client Builder is a practical framework that's going to help you get that perfect client right, get your messaging right, and get your confidence way up. All you got to do is text us 771-333-4233 and we'll send it right to you. Now, back to the show. What works at an IEI, at an ERDI, at a state conference, at another conference? What does work in terms of, let's just call it a cold handshake? What works? What does somebody need to do who's leading a company and wants to talk to you? What should they do, even if it's just a cold handshake?
So I think it's just, again, being interested in my school district, regardless of the size, only 1,200 kids, but showing an interest in our district, not just an interest in the product that you're trying to sell me. So an interest in our individual organization. and what we're working towards. I think that has been super impactful in my conversations. Certainly, one-on-ones that I have at conferences, certainly depending on how those go and if there's a match to what, some of the things that we're struggling with and the vision of the company, then certainly that might work. But it's really that feeling I get when I walk away with that first introduction.
My pushback is that if it's a handshake, somebody who doesn't know you, if it's an email, if it's a LinkedIn connection, they need to listen harder than they pitch. And so I believe that there are ways to craft an email, to craft a LinkedIn connection that can begin to engage you. We did an episode on this earlier this year, whereas basically George Costanza do the opposite of everything you've done before, which is just listen first. And you need to listen first in person, you need to listen first in an email, you need to listen first in a LinkedIn connection. That's my pushback. Now you tell me what you think.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But I also think those emails that I'm more likely to respond to have, they feel like a personal email. Like, we noticed this about your district. We see you're working on this. We could be a match. Those emails that are just like, we'd like to schedule, a brief phone call on, this because I'm trying to sell this. Those are things I tend to ignore. I mean, honestly, I'm getting 25, 30 of them a day. So I need an email that like stands out, right? Like it knows and that I know that the person on the other end knows the client that, they're trying to get. I
think that if our clients recognize that one pilot with somebody like you can lead to, 10 warm introductions to other school districts, then you will take the time to write that email, to research, to write a very strong LinkedIn connection. So that first implementation needs to feel like a win and a case study. People cannot be there to just offer a pilot. We need to use the other word. This is a partnership. And you bring it as well as a partner. And that's super important. Last interruption. Before we wrap this show, I want to remind you guys the EdSales Elevation Experience is where we help founders develop and design lead generation machines that bring in high quality, high converting leads for their education companies on repeat. Get more details in the show notes. Now, let's bring this show home. Have you had a situation where you had a pilot that became a real partner, where it was the springboard for that particular company to get your endorsement, to get those other introductions, to grow their company? Can you talk, you don't have to use names or whatever, but just kind of tell the scenario?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of different ones, different situations. All of them have really been in our district around building resiliency, culture, and a better workforce, so workforce development. And so those are the areas, and probably 3 or 4 companies that we've partnered with in the last 4 or 5 years that are new to ed tech, that we've been really able to have a true partnership and really grow that partnership. And then as a result, colleagues of mine have taken interest and have signed up to also be a partner, which is great because it also grows kind of a cohort of like-minded individuals, like in our state in Vermont, that are all partnering with the same company. So we can collaborate on some things too on our end, on the school district end. Say you're doing teacher evaluation. We might have similar systems then that we're able to, from our side, from the school district side, collaborate on while the company is also trying to create a solution for that teacher evaluation system to make us more efficient and effective. So I think it also increases collaboration among school districts as well. And we're able to grow our network from a different angle as well, too.
So the playbook is there. It's right there. Define your perfect client. Find your Brooke. And then build for them, win with them, and scale from there. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, the perfect client isn't the loudest school district. They're not the largest school district. They're the ones who are going to lean in. They're the ones who are going to co-create, and they're the ones that are going to help you scale. And I appreciate you having this conversation with me. It's one I've wanted to have for a long time. I had to find the perfect guest, and that was you. So I appreciate you coming on and really kind of talking us through, again, the playbook. And here's the challenge for our community this week, or when they hear this: define your perfect client, find your Brooke, build for them, win with them, and scale from there. So thank you, Brooke, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's it for this episode of the EdSales Edge. Thanks for joining us. If you sell into education, the goal of this show is very simple: to help you stop guessing what actually moves deals in a system where trust matters. If you want to go deeper, join us inside the Entourage, our private community for education founders and operators selling into schools. You'll see the details in the show notes. If this episode helped you think more clearly, that's great. Subscribe, like it, and share it with another founder in the education space. Until next time, get clear, build trust, set up a system for sales, and